One of the things I've learned over the years, we all think we're sort of taught, whether it's in the Christian context, if you do good, you get brownie points and you go to heaven, or if in the Buddhist context, and to some degree in the Hindu context, we want to do good deeds so that we're building merit. And, that's all really nice, but that's not how it works. First of all, reincarnation is not linear. And the second thing is, reincarnation is based upon the densest feeling, the densest state that we hold within ourselves at the time of our separation from our body, not the lightest state. So you might think, oh, I have become a great being, and I'm going to migrate straight to heaven. But any secret fear, any secret resentment, any repressed and denied, tension that we hold within ourselves will become the center of gravity around which our next life forms. And that makes perfect sense. It's the density, not the light, that accretes materialization. So it's a good thing to practice opening your heart and every single day and relentlessly questioning your own assumptions, first of all about ourselves. That means, it's not like you go from being a moderately good person and with a moderately interesting life to a slightly more interesting person with a slightly more interesting life because you're trying to be a good person. It means that however high you rose in your life doesn't really matter. What matters is where the floor is. I don't think so. I don't think so, Brahms. Brahms is saying, or did you hear everybody hear what he said? He's asking about density and Stewart's discussion of density and saying, is it helpful to figure out what it is? And I'm saying, no, it doesn't help a bit to figure out what it is. In fact, the thing about it is so tricky that if you call it A and you come after it, it will change into B. It is the 5 fingers on 5 fleas program. You can get 4 fingers on 4 fleas, but when you get the 5th finger on the 5th flea, the first one gets loose again. You can't pin it down because it is not solid. And you can't identify this. The minute you identify it with a particular state or a particular characteristic in you, and you try to change that characteristic, it'll turn into something else. So, the key is practice, practice, practice. Because you are bringing yourself to that state of contact, alignment, and flow. And in that state, holding the space of the breath. And the fact is that in the time that is appropriate for you, in the moment that is appropriate for you, that ultimate abundance will make itself clear. And not before and not after. It is a peeling of the layers. The layers of us. Here you can think of it as the opening of a flower. The petals are tight in the beginning, and as the growth happens, the petals open up largely, and then all fall away. So, there's no figuring it out. That reminds me of a story that I was told as a child that always made a big impact on me, which is, and I apologize to those of you who've heard this 40 million times, but I was told this story in Catholic school about St. Paul walking on the beach. And St. Paul walks on the beach and he comes up to this kid. And St. Paul was like deeply trying to contemplate and figure out the Trinity. How there could be three in one. Well, I just explained that to you yesterday, but anyway, he was trying to figure it out. And so he's walking on the beach and he comes across a child with a bucket and a shovel who's dug a hole in the sand, and he's running to the beach and pouring water in the hole and running back and pouring water in the hole. And St. Paul watches this and then he says, "Kid, what are you doing?" And the kid says to St. Paul, "Oh, well, I'm putting the ocean in this hole I dug." And and St. Paul says, "Kid, look, you can't do that. Look, every bucket you put in, the water runs out through the bottom." The kid turns and looks at him and says, "I'll put the ocean in the hole before you'll figure out what the Trinity is about." This is not an intellectual endeavor, and while therapy can be useful in the resolution of, some difficult issues that we might face as a human being, helping us to come to the place where we can make a choice. Therapy cannot make a choice for us ever, and no intellectual framework exists that will sustain our contact with the ultimate reality. Well, what I was saying is you can't figure it out. You can only practice your way. You can practice your way out of it. You can't intellectualize your way out of it or conceptualize your way out of it. The form of it is not real. That's exactly true. There is no structure. The form is fluid. The state is, and the state is the form is an expression of a vibratory state. And if you push down on it, it'll just pop up someplace else.
Do we have an experiment?
Well, first of all, if somebody whom your nervous system is intertwined in departs your space, that hurts. It hurts. It's because, there is whether it's still alive, there was a connection there that has withered and passed. And in the space of that connection for a while, there is nothing. There is just unformed energy. And that hurts. Anytime we bump into uncertainty and, total spaciousness, our nervous system freaks out. That's not what it does. Our nervous system wants order. So, but the important part of it is to realize that in every space, in every painful space, by residing in the awareness of the breath, every space becomes filled with a finer expression of our state than was previously resident there. If we are growing, then circumstances will come and go in our lives, but an ever, increasingly self-refining expression of the breath of life will permeate the whole field of our experience. Our life is, in other words, going to just keep getting finer. As we become finer,